Here's my top 8 tips for how you can improve your content marketing. But first of all, it's probably worth me telling you what content marketing actually is. So here's 2 of my favorite definitions. Andrew Davis says, content builds relationships. Relationships are built on trust, and trust drives revenue. Laura Fitton says, focus on the core problem your business solves and put out lots of content and enthusiasm and ideas about how to solve the problem. And the great thing is, they're both right. Content marketing is all about demonstrating your value, showing your expertise, and building your community. So here's the 8 tips. Number 1, always align your content with your business goals and personal brand. Make sure you're authentic and congruent with who you are. There's no point if you've got quite a traditional business trying to be woo and wacky and being all over TikTok. You need to make sure that the content you put out reflects who you are, because otherwise your consumers and your potential audience are going to be hugely confused. And that leads us nicely onto point 2. Know your audience. In fact, if I could just give you one piece of advice in marketing, it's know your audience. Create a really detailed description of who your ideal customer is. Give them a name. Understand the benefits of gain, the fear of loss that they would get from your product or service, and really drill down. Are they married? Do they have children? Where do they work? What do they read? What do they watch on telly? Where do they hang out? The more you know about them, the more you can personalize them, the more you can create content that is directly for them. Number 3, define and develop your key messages. What do you want your prospects, your audience to do? What do you want them to think about you, your brand, your product, your service? Think about what's most important for you to communicate to your audiences. Another thing is know your content marketing strategy and pull together your content. If I could tell you one thing, some people are really great at putting out content for a week and then there's nothing. Consistency is got to be key. Think about all the different types of content you can use. Whether it's evergreen, i.e. you can use it again and again and again and it's still very relevant, or whether you want to be more topical and look at things that are going on in the news or going out in the wider environment. Let's be honest, I'm sure we've seen more than a few content posts about COVID recently. Make sure it's unique. Think about different forms of content. Can you do videos? Are you going to include quotes? Blog posts? Think about keeping it fresh and mixing it up. Number 5 is something that I found really useful, is having a content planner. So I can plan the content that I'm going to be putting out for a whole month. And so each day I can assign a piece of content. For example, Monday might be a motivational quote. Wednesday might be a book review. You can be as flexible as you want with your content, but at least then you've got some form of structure and a plan so that you can keep up with that keyword consistency again. 6, it's all about establishing relationships. And that's the great thing about content marketing and social media. It's not a one-way street. You're not just pushing out messages, but you can respond to people's comments, to people's questions, and start to build up a rapport and drive them through the sales funnel. 7, spread the word. Use hashtags. And probably you want to use about 5. A lot of them will be quite common. It might be hashtag plumbers in Enfield. Whatever your business or your product or your service relates to, you will be able to find an appropriate hashtag. And it's also really good for search engine optimization. And finally, point 8, measure. You need to check that you're being effective. And the only way to do that is to review what you've done and measure your success. How are you defining success? Is it a growth in followers? Is it on likes, shares, comments, engagement? Know what metrics you want to measure, and then you can go out there and check that your content is performing as you want. Just to summarize, content marketing is probably the most effective, low cost, time high form of marketing, but it can give you a greater reach and it gives you that platform to be able to compete with the big boys.